legislative guarantees for foreign investors. Rich culture, historic cities, and unique natural attractions make Uzbekistan an appealing destination for tourism investment. Uzbekistan is a land of great opportunity for your business. Join a new phase of economic growth and be part of Uzbekistan's success. Explore new Uzbekistan, big country with big opportunities.
Well, as you can see, there's a lot going on. Thank you very much for joining us today, and nice to see so many familiar faces. A very warm welcome from me. I'm Jonathan Charles to our event today. I'm a geopolitical insight and strategy advisor. I'm also a former member of the executive of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and I now advise the presidential administration and the government of Uzbekistan. Over the next couple of hours, we're going to be focusing on Uzbekistan, the big country with big opportunities. It is increasingly successful in attracting foreign investment, and we're going to be hearing why, and we'll also be finding out how important its foreign partnerships are, both at a private sector and international development level. So, what are the attractions of Uzbekistan? Earlier this year, the International Communications Agency, Hudson Sandler, carried out a foreign investor survey for Uzbekistan. They heard from many investors who spoke positively about their experience here. They also heard from the London Stock Exchange, who said they expected Uzbekistan to grow at a more rapid pace than global GDP growth, and also Rothschild and Company, who said inward investment flows will build given the government's strategic focus on creating a competitive and well-regulated investment environment. And you can see over there some of the figures that are impressive. We see rapid growth in foreign investment, FDI, and foreign trade. We see the young and skilled workforce. You can see there as well the rapid decline in the poverty rate. So many achievements. And all of that, of course, sets the scene for our discussion today. So, let's get underway with speeches from some of the main players. Let's start with a welcoming speech from Laziz Kudratov, the Minister of Investment, Industry and Trade of the Republic of Uzbekistan. A good friend, glad to see him here. Laziz.
Good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, colleagues and friends. It's an honor to welcome you all in the historic city of Samarkand, a place that is not only a vibrant reality, but also a symbol of the legendary Silk Road. Samarkand, once the crossroads of ancient world, stands as a testament to the transformative power of trade. Merchants from both East and West gathered here to exchange silk, spices, metals, and most importantly, ideas. Today, as we gather for the 9th meeting of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, it is fitting that our discussions echo this rich legacy of exchange. Just as the Silk Road facilitated the movement of goods and culture, so too will our conversations today spark new ideas and partnerships for the future. Through our ambitious reform agenda, encapsulated in the 2030 strategy, Uzbekistan is reclaiming its historic role in global commerce. By 2030, our goal is to attain upper middle income status, with 85% of our economy driven by the private sector and 40% of our energy sourced from renewables. Our aim is equally ambitious in productivity. We plan to double our labor productivity and exports. While these goals may seem bold, they are firmly grounded in the realities of our economic potential. Uzbekistan's fundamentals are strong, and we stand at the threshold of a new era of growth. Our greatest assets lies in our people. With 60% of our population under the age of 30, Uzbekistan has a young, dynamic, and educated workforce, ready to lead the industries of the future. Alongside the human capital, we are also blessed with rich natural resources, including natural gas, copper, and essential metals crucial to the global shift towards sustainable economies. Furthermore, Uzbekistan's strategic location, bridging the dynamic markets of Asia, the established economies of Europe, and the capital-rich Gulf, positions us as a vital hub for East-West trade. These inherent advantages, supported by targeted reforms, are driving unprecedented growth. In 2023, Uzbekistan's GDP grew by 6%, and in just the first half of 2024, we accelerated to 6.4%. Our foreign trade surged by 25% last year, with an additional 8.5% growth this year. Foreign direct investment has been equally remarkable. From just 3.3 billion in 2018, FDI soared to 22.4 billion in 2023, primarily in energy, infrastructure, and technology sectors. This influx of investment has had a transformative impact. Industrial production has nearly doubled, reaching $56 billion, and poverty rates have fallen from 17% to 11% between 2021 and 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would like to stress that Uzbekistan is in the midst of a profound transformation, and we invite you to be our partners on this exciting journey. Your insights, your investments, and your collaboration will help us reach the heights we aspire to over the next decade. Here in Samarkand, we continue the timeless traditions of trade, negotiations, and innovations that have defined this city for centuries. Together, we will pave the way for a new chapter of prosperity for Uzbekistan. On behalf of the Ministry of Investment, Industry and Trade, I warmly welcome you and extend my sincere thanks for your presence and for your participation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Laziz. And I'm delighted to say that also here with us is President Jin of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or as I think I now have to describe it, the AIIB. So, President Jin.
Thanks, Jonathan. Minister Kudarov, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is truly my great honor and pleasure to welcome you to the host country seminar on Uzbekistan's resources mobilization efforts and partnerships. In recent years, Uzbekistan has implemented ambitious policy reforms, significantly expanding the private sector's role in economic growth. These reforms have unlocked new opportunities for businesses, increased competition, and increased opportunities for broader social benefits. Together, these reforms and impressive changes they have brought about have contributed to making Uzbekistan a key part of AIIB's investment portfolio today. Since 2016, our bank has approved 15 projects in Uzbekistan, totaling $3.1 billion, and placing Uzbekistan within our top 8 members by portfolio size. Moreover, I'm delighted to say that our pipeline of projects in Uzbekistan is expanding. I look forward to AIIB doubling or even tripling its investment in Uzbekistan over the next 5 to 10 years. And our cooperation would go on beyond that. The launch of Uzbekistan's third national development strategy last year marked an opportunity for our bank to further hone our support as the country continues its journey towards sustainable economic growth. Our joint efforts reached a milestone this year in the signing of a 3-year investment program during Honorable President Mirziyoyev's visit to our headquarters in Beijing. The program will help guide AIIB's work in Uzbekistan with a focus on 3 main sectors: energy, water, and transport. In energy, AIIB is committed to supporting Uzbekistan's ambitious energy diversification commitments, including expanding renewable energy capacity and increasing efficiency in power generation. In water, AIIB is dedicated to supporting Uzbekistan with its water access challenges, including by improving access to water services and reducing water losses through innovative infrastructure projects. In transport, our bank is committed to helping Uzbekistan build upon its hub location, including by enhancing the safety, efficiency, and sustainability of Uzbekistan's transport network. Our commitment to Uzbekistan remains steadfast. As an active member of the MDB community, our bank is also eager to collaborate with fellow institutions to mobilize resources, deliver tailored strategies, provide technical assistance, and develop innovative financing solutions for Uzbekistan. Our banks co-financed policy-based loans with other MDBs have created an enabling policy environment for resource mobilization. Ladies and gentlemen, these developments are just a glimpse of the progress we have seen in Uzbekistan over the past few years. We have been actively involved in many of them and are committed to continuing the advancement of our modern investment program in line with the third national development strategy. We in AIIB feel proud to have Uzbekistan as our partner, and we are confident in the sustained, successful progress this country is going to make. I invite you today to explore the opportunities for collaboration with us, whether here in Samarkand or across other regions whereby our bank is actively investing. I wish you great success in all your endeavors. Thank you very much.
President Jins, always a pleasure to see you. It's been a while since my EBRD trips to Beijing, but glad you could be here with us. Now, let's move quickly on to our panel, our first panel, which is really on the investment attractiveness of Uzbekistan. Let's call up the panelists one by one to take their seats here. First of all, Roxana Nisor is the Deputy Director of the Investment Promotion Agency of Uzbekistan. Roxana, if you take your seat. Next, we have Konstantin Limitovsky, Vice President of the AIIB. And also with us, Wensai Zhang, Managing Director of the World Bank, Chief Administrative Officer. Nikolai Podguzov, the Chairman of the Eurasian Development Bank. Diana Bezakova, the Director of the Tashkent International Arbitration Center. Nika Kurdiani, the Chief Executive here in Uzbekistan of TBC Bank Operations. And Dior Makhmedov, the Chief Financial Officer of BYD, of course, big investor here in the country. So, we are going to discuss some of the issues which we've heard about so far this morning. Thank you very much indeed for joining me on this panel. Let me start with you, Roxana, as the Deputy Director of the IPA, the Investment Promotion Agency of Uzbekistan. It's your job to try to attract investment here. Give us an idea of how you see the investment landscape.
So first of all, it's my pleasure to welcome you all at our today's event, our host country session. Thank you for coming. And today we are all witnessing how quickly Uzbekistan is changing into a country with an open and strong economy. And this progress shows how much trust the world is placing in Uzbekistan as a reliable partner. Since 2017, we have been carrying out large-scale reforms aimed at creating favorable investment climate, and it delivers results. Such factors as automobile manufacturing, infrastructure, IT, clean energy, and agriculture are growing fast, and we have many investment projects underway. In the last several years, foreign investment inflows have increased by 6.5 times, and the number of investment projects by 10 times since 2017. And our FDI success is no accident. So what's helping to drive this? One of the key areas was to reduce tariffs on imports and completely abolish all export duties. As a result, we are now enjoying rapidly growing foreign trade turnover. Over the last year, we reached $62.6 billion, and this year we are going to beat this number. So what are the macro factors that are increasingly attractive for international investors when they consider investing in Uzbekistan? Firstly, it's our strategic location at the crossroads of the Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. It makes our country a natural logistics hub for international trade. For example, Uzbekistan is part of key international transport corridors such as Karek and Traseka, which allows us connecting markets with over 3 billion consumers. Secondly, our abundant natural resources combined with affordable labor create cost-effective production across various sectors of economy. Uzbekistan ranks among the top 10 globally in terms of key natural resources, including gold, uranium, copper. Thirdly, Uzbekistan has young and educated population with over 24 million people under the age of 30. Our domestic market with over 37 million people boasts a steadily growing middle class, leading to an increase in purchasing power. For example, household consumption last years has been increasing by over 10% annually. Fourth, our political stability provides a secure environment for long-term investments. Uzbekistan has considerably ranked as one of the most stable economies in Central Asia and the safest country according to the Safety Perception Index. And lastly, and probably most arguably, is the government's commitment to reforms, which is fostering a business-friendly environment for our investors. The reform work and commitment is ongoing. For example, currently we are working on new investment law, which has been created in close cooperation with our current investors. It will offer stronger guarantees for successful implementation of investment projects while enhancing investors' rights. One of the focuses for the future is on maximizing the country's potential as a transport and logistics hub by developing multimodal freight transportation and building new railways, such as China, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. We'll also focus on fostering the growth of the services sector to ensure that we develop our non-industrial sectors as well. And all of these initiatives demonstrate our commitment to achieve 10% annual GDP growth, 40% of energy sourced from renewables, and 25% increase in foreign trade. So I have provided only brief information about the factors that are created in our country for investors, and much more you can find out at our new website portal, invest.gov.uz, which has been launched just yesterday, and I think my colleague Jonathan Charles is going to tell more about it shortly. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ministry of Investment, Industry and Trade, I can say that we are fully committed to supporting every investor who partners with Uzbekistan. From initial planning to project execution, our team is ready 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to help you and to ensure smooth cooperation with you. But we cannot achieve our future goals alone, so we invite you, our partners, colleagues, investors, to join us on this journey. Thank you for your attention, and I hope for our future cooperation. Thanks.
Roxana, thank you very much indeed. And yes, you're right, a little later on at the end of this panel, we can have a look at some of the pages from the new website, which will be eventually a one-stop shop for investors to go and have a look if they're interested in finding out about investing here in the country. Let's move on to Konstantin Limitovsky, Vice President of the AIIB. Konstantin, we heard from President Jin just how much the AIIB is doing here and the potential for more. Tell us how it looks, the country, from where you're sitting.
Thank you, Jonathan. Very much similar to Mr. Jin. Minister Kudratov, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to thank you very much for joining Uzbekistan and AIIB in this wonderful city, ancient city of Samarkand, for our discussions on the prospects of infrastructure finance, of the development trends and opportunities in this region, and specifically in Uzbekistan. Many, many thanks. Uzbekistan is a founding member of AIIB and our leading and most active client in Central Asia, with $3.1 billion today in the portfolio, as President Jin has already said. It is the most diversified pipeline today, and we are growing it with the projects with a growing and diversified manner. Moreover, and importantly, Uzbekistan is a regional top growth and investment mobilization success story in the region for the last 6 years. And the reason is simple. Uzbekistan has a strong leadership, setting clear and concrete goals. As an example, clearly articulated in a recent program, From Poverty to Prosperity. It has clear rules and developing legal framework, and it's also focused on clear means of achieving it, and including, among other, via consistent strategy for attracting investments. Uzbekistan National Development Strategy, Uzbekistan 2030, is perfectly aligned with AIIB values and mandate. And I would like to speak about those in the context of Uzbekistan. One of our top thematic priorities is to support sustainable infrastructure that boosts cross-country connectivity, economic cooperation, and trade. Here in Uzbekistan, 24% of AIIB current investment portfolio is dedicated to connectivity. Today, we're helping to develop road network in Bukhara region, which includes the international highway A380, which is part of Karek 2 international corridor connecting Mediterranean with East Asia. Together with our partners, Asian Development Bank, we are financing electrification of railway between Bukhara and Khiva, and we are planning to continue this project down to Nukus. More road upgrade projects are being planned in Karakalpakstan and Khwarezm and the other important connectivity transportation projects in cooperation with our partners, World Bank, IDB and EBRD, and the others. But connectivity goes beyond the transport. Digital divide is a critical challenge for regional development. While 5G penetration is relatively good in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, they're among the lowest in Asia for the rest of the countries. Fiber coverage is also low and needs significant improvement. That is why we are developing our new project with Uztelecom. Our next top important objective is to support the efforts of our members to decarbonize and to develop infrastructure resilient to the effects of the climate change, and finance the measures helping the climate mitigation and adaptation. As we heard today from Minister Kudratov, Uzbekistan is planning to increase the share of energy generated by the renewable sources up to 40% by 2030. It is an impressive commitment. In support of that plan, AIB is financing and will continue financing renewable energy. And as an example, I would like to mention that together with the other development partners, we financed the 3 photovoltaic solar power plants sponsored by Masdar. The plant in Samarkand is physically completed and in the process of commissioning. We were pleased to take our directors to the site before the start of this annual meeting, and the solar park is constructed in a record time, and it features application of the modern technologies such as bifacial modules and robotic cleaning panels. Our concept of infrastructure for tomorrow relies on technologically innovative solutions that bring efficient, affordable, and reliable service to people. Technology-enabled infrastructure is the feature we're looking in each and every project. Within the next 2 years, we are preparing the new projects in this country in energy transition, in battery energy storage system, more solar and wind power projects, distributed roof solar program, smart grid transmission projects, and many others. In cooperation with our partners like Aqua Power, China Power, Masdar, and many others. Early this year, in close collaboration with the Ministry of Investment and Trade and the other key infrastructure line ministers, we developed a 3-year rolling program amounting to $2.6 billion for 12 projects. President Jin mentioned that. A few days ago, actually, we reviewed the program and agreed to expand it to exceed $4 billion for the next 3 years. Within the program, we plan to finance education infrastructure, roads and highways, helping connectivity, energy renewables and transmission, urban infrastructure in New Tashkent, irrigation, water supply and sanitation, and many other industries. That is why, like many other investors, Uzbekistan is our success story, which we are gratefully proud of. And our impact can even be greater when we look together with the development partners and private investors into the challenges of infrastructure gap. So far, AIB has mobilized over $11 billion for private sector investors for green infrastructure projects globally. Impressive this number as it is, it represents only 20 cents of private capital per each dollar of our investment. So we are taking our first steps in this journey. I'm confident that we can and should aim to mobilize 1, 2, and more dollars each dollar of our investment if we are serious about addressing the climate change and infrastructure gap in this beautiful region. Making this happen will be our top priority. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Konstantin, and nice to see you here. Let us move on to the World Bank, which I know is very active as well here in the country. I often see members of the World Bank team here. I'm glad to see as well they're at the event today. Active as well, the World Bank, through the IFC as well, not just through World Bank operations, but through activity with the private sector done through IFC too. With us is Wensai Zhang. Wensai, tell us how, from World Bank's perspective, the investment landscape looks here.
Okay. Jonathan, thank you, colleagues, Minister. Good morning. I'm so pleased to come back to the Central Asia. In my previous capacity in the government of China, Ministry of Finance, and also ADB Vice President there, and also China Exim Bank, dealing with the international operations. Now I'm in the World Bank Group, so I'm pleased to come and to share how the World Bank Group supports the Uzbekistan. So in the coming days, first let me say that I can see over the past 7 years, Uzbekistan really has emerged as one of the world's leading reformers. I really want to recommend the Uzbekistan government on many reforms they have implement. And from my arrival at the airport, in the Tashkent, the other day, and also on my way from airport to the hotel, and yesterday from the Tashkent to Samarkand by train, I can see the changes, from very beginning, a lot of dynamic changes. This, through my eyes. I visited the country many times, but after a few years, coming back, I really noticed the great changes. And I think the government have done a lot of reform. I really want to commend, including, SOE reform, financial sector reform, pricing reform, and also tax reform, administrative reform, and also social protection system reform, among many others. I can name many reforms, right? I do see with the reform, we see the concrete result, the impact of reform, right? So, I can see the country enjoy a relatively high growth, over 5% GDP growth since 2017. Minister mentioned about the first half of the year, you enjoy 6.4% even, right? So I think your country is like one of the, fast growing economy in the region. And I also noticed that you achieve a lot on the poverty reduction side. His Excellency, President of the country, even announced a new initiative for the poverty alleviation. So 1.5 million people get out of the poverty, from the 2021-2023, and also a lot of FDI come to the country. And also the number of business also triple, in the country. So with a better business environment and more, streamlined procedure. So I can see the very, specific concrete. So I also noticed the government has set very ambitious goal for the 2030. Right, countries, will move to the upper middle developing status from the current, status. So this is a big, target, and also government has a very ambitious target for the poverty reduction, on the developing green economy, low carbon-based economy, among many others. So I think, having said that, I think in the coming days, the country has a great potential, but also will continue to face a lot of challenges, like the Minister said, during this transformation period. So I want to highlight maybe 3 things. One is on the private sector. How can we have more private sector-led growth? How we stimulate private sector growth in the country? I think the country still needed to continue its, very active, right, SOE reforms, including privatization of certain sectors. And also the country needed to provide, more financing to the MSME, because those sectors really can help generate more jobs, particularly for the younger generation and women. I see that. I visit many MSE financing projects when I was in the, ADB and now in the World Bank. I just, I can see if we can do more for the, MSME, right? That really can help create more jobs, particularly for the younger, generation and women. And also, I feel there's a strong need for further improving the business regulatory environment, and also, try to reduce the bureaucracy and further, strengthen efforts on the anti-corruption. I also very pleased to know the government is working on a new investment law, right? That's already presented to the Congress already for review. That's a great step. So based on the other country experience, if we really can strengthen the investment law, that can really attract more investment, particularly from other countries. I think also I want to mention the second item is about how the country further join the regional cooperation integration. This country, what we call a double landlocked country, right? But how can they build the transport corridor with the neighboring countries? Through the road, through railway, and through other airport, among other, right? So I believe with more transport corridor in place, and the country will become the trade corridor and become the economic corridor at the end of the day. So I firmly believe, the importance of the country's further integration with the neighboring countries, with other parts of Asia, with South Asia, with the Middle East, and also with Europe. So the connectivity, so important, right? So I think, and also I can see now the country needs to do more regional energy trading, right? And among many others. So this is something, I think the World Bank has been, very much support this kind of efforts of the government. So I think this is a very important area I want to highlight. Third one I want to mention is that, the country need to continue, leading the, continue to pursue the, the membership for the WTO. The country have a target for joining the WTO by 2026. So they made a lot of efforts on this, right? I think with the join the WTO, right, that really can drive a lot of, reform and changes. Before joining the WTO, after joining the WTO. I know other country experience, like my country where I'm from, the China experience, right? So before the WTO, they made a lot of efforts, right, to be the member of WTO. After WTO accession, they have to implement a lot of reforms, further. So to really to comply with the requirement of WTO. I believe in the Uzbekistan, if the country, can join WTO, that really can, right, inspire or drive a lot of reform and changes. This is a great opportunity for the country to do that. And lastly, let me talk a little bit about the World Bank's, doing here for the World Bank Group. We, World Bank Group, we have IBRD, IDA, we have FC, MIGA, right? So this World Bank Group, we enjoy very close cooperation. Last more than 30 years, we already provide a cumulatively commitment about $10 billion. In the last 7 years, we increased our lending and our knowledge service significantly in the last 7 years. So I think in the coming days, we will continue to support countries, different priorities, not only in the physical infrastructure side, but also social infrastructure, and also regional integration, private sector-led growth, and the economic and social reform, among many others. We have done a lot on energy, water, agriculture sectors. We have done a lot of support, MSME, by FC, by IBRD, by IDA. So we are going to do more in the coming days. So this is something I want to mention. We even start to do more for the new infrastructure, like digital infrastructure. We provide a loan to support digital IT. I know the country try to be an IT hub in the Central Asia. I do believe, they have the potential to be the regional IT hub. So we are going to support them. So this is something I want to mention. We are working with, very closely with the AIB, ADB, and other multilateral, bilateral development partners to support the country with more co-financing. With the AIB, I can tell you, colleagues, we work with the AIB for the, the rural infrastructure development program. We are working with the AIB, also support the medium-sized city, right? Integrate the urban management program. So we are going to do more. I just met the VP. I'm going to see Mr. Jin. We are going to talk about that, in the coming days. So finally, colleagues, I just want to see that we should continue support Uzbekistan government, right, for the reform, for the development initiative, and for, so I Of course, we should help them to mobilize more resources. We should help them to catalyze more private sector investment, not just from our own money, but also more private sector investment in the country. So like, World Bank groups like IFC, MIGA, they can do more in addition to IBRD IDA's efforts, because we are going to increase our guarantee operation even more in the coming days. With more guarantee, I'm quite sure the private sector will come. Right? So I think this is so important message I want to tell you. And also we are working on IDA 21 replenishment. Here I want to really call colleagues, international community, to support more IDA contribution. IDA 21, so important for many countries like Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is an IDA, IBRD, it's a blended country. They benefit from IBRD money, IDA money, so I really hope our international community really supports IDA 21. I say finally, I want to say that I'm quite confident, the country has a great future, great potential. So I wish that all the best to the country, every success to the Uzbekistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wensai, and thank you for that passionate plea for IDA as well. You're right, it is so important for development. And actually, I was also glad to hear you emphasize the need for transport, infrastructure, investment internationally as well for a country like Uzbekistan. It's crucial for future growth. Thank you very much. Let's turn to the Eurasian Development Bank. Nikolai, you and I were talking just a few minutes ago before all this started, and actually I can tell you've got some quite ambitious plans for Uzbekistan.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, hosts and guests of the event, first of all, it's a great honor to speak to today's session. Let me say thank you to organizers and hosts and for the invitation to speak today. Your Excellency, Minister Laziz Kudratov, thank you very much. Thank you for Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. We are here in Samarkand, and we greatly value the efforts of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank in bringing us closer, especially here in Central Asia. Let me share with you a few thoughts. It is important to address global challenges in ways relevant to the local context. I use the term glocalization to describe our approach. What do I mean by this? Then addressing global challenges at the regional level, it is crucial to take into account unique regional features, needs and constraints of the region. Central Asia shares its challenges with other regions, but these challenges demonstrate features specific to Central Asia. The global challenge of sustainable economic growth is particularly relevant for Central Asia. But for Central Asia, the goal is to achieve not only sustainable but rapid growth. It is needed to shorten the income gap with rich countries. The second challenge is connectivity. Central Asia is a region where 5 out of 5 countries are landlocked, and the Republic of Uzbekistan is double landlocked. Better connectivity will help transform landlocked countries into land-linked countries. Eurasian Development Bank promotes the concept of the Eurasian Transport Network. The idea is that East-West and North-South transport corridors should complement each other. The synergy between them could yield up to 40% of additional traffic. The third challenge is access to water. The region currently loses up to 40% of its irrigation water and more than 50% of its drinking water. Modernizing irrigation systems and implementing water-saving technologies are key. This is what President Shavkat Mirziyoyev has been talking yesterday at the opening ceremony. Addressing all these challenges requires deep knowledge of the region, unique project expertise, substantial capital investments, and cooperation. Our panel today is on Uzbekistan. The title is Big Country with Big Opportunities, and this is definitely true. All these challenges that I mentioned could be turned into the opportunities for the country. Since 2017, Uzbekistan has become a growing hub of opportunities. Under the leadership of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, the country has been transformed by far-reaching and forward-thinking reform. Uzbekistan economy is growing far quicker than other world countries and emerging market countries. The number of companies with foreign capital has almost tripled since 2017. These numbers demonstrate Uzbekistan's growing economic appeal. The largest population in the region provides solid foundation for the rapid industrial growth. And after all, we see how strong the boxing team in Uzbekistan. 5 gold medals at Paris Olympics, which is outstanding result. Congratulations. Now back to business. Non-sovereign investment is key to further sustainable growth, and international financial institutions can help in attracting more of them. Here, the whole family of multilateral development banks comes into play. Should MDBs cooperate and why? Definitely they should cooperate to foster the sustainable development goals achievement. The economic development of Uzbekistan and other countries in the region requires constructing large infrastructure projects, hydropower plants, roads, other important infrastructure. Not a single financial institution would finance a multi-billion project alone. Development institutions should jointly mobilize financial resources for such projects. And we see 7 key areas of cooperation of MDBs. First of all, this is cooperation in mobilizing capital to share the burden of large development projects. Secondly, cooperation in capital markets to raise funds effectively. Thirdly, we need to promote and cooperate in local currency financing to reduce budget risks for our member states. To share project expertise is crucial to provide project execution in the best effective way. Joint research projects will open new horizons for cooperation and to combine knowledge. It is very important to coordinate technical assistance, to kick off new projects, and definitely joint implementing of cross-border projects. This is an area where it is impossible not to cooperate. Eurasian Development Bank is keen to cooperate with other MDBs. We would be happy to advance our cooperation with Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and other MDBs, which are active in Central Asia and Uzbekistan. Thank you once again for this opportunity to speak, and let's develop Uzbekistan and Central Asia together. Thank you very much.
Nikolai, thank you very much indeed. Let's turn to something that's on offer to foreign investors and to private sector generally. I'm glad we're joined by you, Diana. You and I have talked before about the importance of arbitration. Tell us, what it has to offer investors.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for having me. It is my absolute pleasure and delight to share the stage with my fellow co-panelists. And going back to your question, I want to frame the input, my input into today's discussion around the word trust. Trust is what builds and drives investor confidence. And in my humble opinion as a legal practitioner, I would say that institutions that promote stable and predictable legal environment, they are the ones that contribute to that trust. And again, these institutions also include those that facilitate access to justice and to dispute resolution mechanisms. And I know for a fact that business and non-legal people, they have a sense of discomfort when they hear the word dispute. And we always say that disputes are inevitable. They're part of our life, they will happen. And this is particularly true when there's intensive economic activity. What is crucial in that context is to essentially have a reliable dispute resolution framework that would facilitate prevention and avoidance, as well as resolution, effective resolution of those disputes. And when it comes to dispute resolution mechanisms, I think there's universal consensus among many experts, including economists, that investors prefer arbitration over any other dispute resolution mechanisms. And the reasons for that are fairly simple. Investors can choose arbitrators, or in plain English language, judges that would have specific expertise to resolve a particular dispute. And this is very relevant to construction or infrastructure sector, where disputes can be very technical. Investors also can choose in arbitration the applicable law, and that would be English, Chinese, French, Swiss, Uzbek, depending on the parties' agreements. Investors can choose the language. Again, it can be English or any other language of choice. And what's paramount and crucial is that the arbitral award, or the final judgment of an arbitrator, can be enforced, or in other words, executed in over 170 countries of the world under the New York Convention. And importantly, this benefit is not available to court judgment. So for example, if you have an English court judgment or a US court judgment, you may not be able to enforce it outside of the country where it's issued. And turning to Uzbekistan, it has indeed, in the opinion of many experts, taken significant strides to put itself on the map of investments and business as an arbitration-friendly jurisdiction. It has adopted the new law, which the UN Commission on International Trade Law has recognized as compliant with international best practices and standards. It has established TIAC, or Tashkent International Arbitration Center, where I serve as the director. And the leading London-based publisher in the field of international arbitration has referred to TIAC as having, at the time, the roster of 60 leading arbitrators and strict no conflict of interest rules that go further than the rules of the International Bar Association. And I'd like to go a little bit further, very briefly explaining that point. We are being regularly asked who makes decisions under the TIAC rules before the case file is transferred to the arbitrators. And there are, plethora of procedural decisions that need to be taken before the file can be transferred to the arbitrators. And it's not the government of Uzbekistan, directly or indirectly. It's not myself, the director, or any other staff member. We have an independent body of experts. We call it TIAC Court of Arbitration, that is composed of 5 leading arbitration practitioners that are based in Hong Kong, the US, the UK, the UAE, and Sweden. All of them have extensive institutional experience, and these are the people or individuals that have exclusive powers to make decisions under the TIAC rules before the file or the case materials are transferred to the arbitrators. And you can see that one of our court members is a former Deputy Secretary General of the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center. So before stepping into the role of the TIA court member, he has been in the leadership role of the top arbitral institution in the world. To date, we have administered over 70 cases with international element, and some of those cases filed against the largest and very well-known Uzbek organizations operating in the region, and successful outcomes have been obtained for those claimants seeking the relief with those organizations. We've had parties from Hong Kong, Singapore, China, Italy, Netherlands, Kazakhstan, Russia, Moldova, and of course Uzbekistan. And last but not least, there's a track record of numerous court judgments in Uzbekistan enforcing the awards, or again in plain language terms, the judgments of the arbitrators in Uzbekistan against largest Uzbek entities. This is all public information. I can share with all of you the details. But what it essentially says is that Uzbek judges support arbitration, they support and respect arbitral awards and execute them, even if they're rendered against Uzbek entities. That's all from my side, and I remain available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Diana, thank you very much indeed, and I'd advise everybody to check out the TIAC on the website, because it is doing a very impressive job fulfilling an important gap actually in the market. So thanks a lot, Diana, for coming along to explain that. Let's turn to the private sector now. Nika, TBC Bank certainly have a lot of ideas for expanding operations here. You're a Georgian bank, but actually you've alighted on Uzbekistan as an important market.
Firstly, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Yes, let's move to a concrete case of investment. I represent TBC Group. Initially, it is a Georgian banking institution which expanded in Caucasus and later got premium listed in London. So we are a premium listed company in London Stock Exchange, member of the FTSE 250 index. And now, since 2019, we are also present in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan. In Georgia, we hold a very big market share, around 40%. So at one point, Georgia is a small country, 3.5 million people. At one point, we understood that we have to grow outside Georgia. And in that case, when we did a very thorough analysis, and it was not a work of 1 year, we several years were working on choosing the right place to go. We decided to go to Uzbekistan. Now, why we did so, apart from very strong cultural and historic ties with Uzbekistan, the country offers massive potential in terms of many things. Firstly, if we talk about the growing population, there are not many countries in the world which add 1 million people a year approximately. There are not many countries in the world which have 60% of population below 30 or actually 29 years old. There are not many countries in the world which actually are as digitalized as Uzbekistan is, and this is something that many people and many companies do not know actually. And I will switch in a sec to what we do in Uzbekistan, and this is one of the key points that was for us a matter of success. What we do in Uzbekistan is we run a fully digital operations. There is not a single process behind which there is a human being. It's a digital financial ecosystem. In this ecosystem, we have already 3+1 companies, one awaiting the licensing. This is a digital bank, this is a payment aggregation institution, and this is a BNPL/POS lending institution and an insurance company coming up. All of them fully digital, all of them fully automatized. And we are present here since second half of 2019. We broke even in 2 years. The bank broke even in 2 years. For those of you who know our business, basically you know that there are not many cases in the world where digital banks are breaking even in 2 years. So, and this is digital, everything is digital. So if we would not have the infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure is governmental services, people having smartphones, internet penetration in the country, people's eagerness, digital savviness, so to say, we would not be able to penetrate the market. Currently, we serve around 16 million people in Uzbekistan through our services. This is our registered customer base, out of which more than 5 million already are monthly active transactionally, which means that we have massive activity rate through digital services. If the country would not be able to host digital player like this, we would not be able to build up the story in just 4 years. That's why this confirms once more that the country is very much ready to accept global digital businesses. Apart from this, there are several success factors when you run a service company, so to say. This is people, human capital, talent, right? We employ in Uzbekistan a bit more than 2,000 people already. In 4 years, we built up the company which employs already 2,000 people plus, and we would not be able to attract this talent if the country was not ready to give us this talent, right? There are not many expats in our company. We are not the company who is eager to hire many expats. We are trying to build local talent, and as the country grows, the talent becomes more capable. Sorry, and we see this capability growing significantly because there are lots of investments going also in the educational system, especially technical and technological educational system. This is very important. Recently, there were big accents put on AI, on data analytics, on cloud services, and this is also very promising because, as we know, the whole world is putting accent on these things. For instance, we are building, and actually we launched in September, the Friends and Family MVP of our Uzbek AI virtual assistant, which is going to be fully launched in Uzbekistan in November. And this assistant, basically a robot, will be serving customers on any topics, our products and not only our products, because we are educating the robot with the whole information of Uznet. So these kind of things are happening. In our case, in Uzbekistan, we have very strong competition as well. Competition is doing great things. It's not only us. There are many good companies already present in the country. So overall, in a nutshell, I mean, this gives us very big hope, because with the massive GDP growth, with the massive population growth, with the massive new players coming into the country, this all creates the infrastructure and playing ground for companies like us and others to increase the business and to make the country even more successful, not only through financial inclusion, but through digital inclusion altogether. Thank you.
Nika, thank you very much, and thanks for that very articulate outline of answering the question, why Uzbekistan? I think that's pretty clear. Let's get another articulation of that and turn to another big investor, BYD, not just investing here to produce cars for Uzbekistan, but for the whole of Central Asia. Deal.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big honor for me to be here today and to give a speech in such important panel discussion. Let me briefly introduce about our project, which we are doing together with our Chinese partners, BYD Group. It's the production of electric and hybrid vehicles under the BYD brand in the Republic of Uzbekistan. So our journey began in February 2022 by signing an MOU between joint stock company UzAuto and BYD Group. In December 2022, we already signed the charter fund, the agreement, the founding agreement, and the agreement of the establishment of the joint venture BYD Uzbekistan factory. And in March 2023, already we started the sales of the cars under the BYD brand. Today we have already 18 official dealers and after-sales service centers which provide the warranty for the cars for 6 years or 150,000 kilometers, and for batteries for 8 years. For the first time in the history, we launched the Uzbek and Russian language to the multimedia system. We also provided the mobile application from which our clients can remotely control their car. To our clients, we provide the Uzbek SIM cards for 2 years with 2 gigabytes monthly for free. So for 2 months they can use this SIM card while through the multimedia system. The air conditioning system was completely modernized because, as you know, in summer we have quite hot weather, and in winter it's quite cold here. That's why we completely modernized the air conditioning system. And the voice control also, you can control your car by Russian language besides the English one. And now we are in the process of implementing the Uzbek language to the voice control system. In September 2023, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, on behalf of the government, signed the investment agreement with the BYD Group. And if we see in total the year 2023 in figures, the interest for electric and hybrid cars in our country is continuing to growing, and it grew up for 4.3 times. And in 2023, the amount of sold electric and hybrid cars was 38,000 vehicles, under which 27,000 were BYD cars. And if we see the statistics for 8 months of 2024, it's already been sold more than 40,000 cars of electric and hybrid cars, and under which the 21,000 cars are under the BYD brand. In June 2024, there was our President, His Excellency Mirziyoyev Shavkat Miramanch, together with the founder and the President of BYD Group, Mr. Wang Chongfu. They officially participated in official ceremony of the opening of our factory in Jizak region, under which we opened this factory, and the yearly capacity of the production of the cars is 50,000 cars. During the visit, the President pointed out, in order to expand the range of cars in the future, and also to expand the range of the production for 500,000 cars yearly, and with the creation of new 10,000 jobs, and to increase the level of localization for 60%. So our plant opened in July 2024. The plant is located in the territory of 26 hectares. As I said, the production capacity is 50,000 cars. And we have full equipment of welding and painting for welding and painting bodies of the cars, as well as the assembly line for finished cars. The cost of the project is 160 million, where the foreign direct investments are $60 million. Up to date, we already created 1,000 new jobs, and until the end of this year, we plan to create additional 200 jobs. At the first stage, we started the production of 2 models, hybrid models. It's BYD Chazor and BYD Song Plus Champion. And we're also planning to gradually localize the company spare parts in domestic enterprises, including glass, seats, plastic parts, and bumpers. And the first stage, with a gradual increased list of localized parts. So this is the brief information about our joint project with our partners, and we hope that this project will be a sort of success story in future cooperation between Uzbekistan and China. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, and it is certainly a very impressive investment, and again, adding to Uzbekistan's placement in the region as a car manufacturing hub, actually, or car assembly hub, and I think that's pretty important. Thank you very much to all of our panel, our first panel. It was a fascinating panel. I hope you all know a bit more about Uzbekistan and the investment opportunities now, the big country with big opportunities. I think that was pretty well outlined. Before we end this first panel, though, I want to go back to something Roxana mentioned. We're going to show you a little bit, I think we can put it up on the screen, of the new website, which is for investment. It is a world-class FDI website. It tells the story of new Uzbekistan, the big country with big opportunities. If you see there, you can scan to view, actually, even now. If you take your smartphones, it should take you through to the site, but you will find the site anyway there, and it will be a one-stop shop for investors. Eventually, it will be the single window which investors go through in order to access what they need for investing in the country. So there you go. That's the website, and it's you know, it's pretty impressive. It will become more impressive as well, day by day, week by week, as more and more content is put on it, and we'll certainly on there be featuring some investor success stories as well. I think it's important that peer-to-peer discussion takes place and that foreign investors see existing foreign investors and can see, you know, their success stories. But check it out, it's well worth it. You can see the invest.gov.uz is the address, and you'll see more and more material being put on there. Thank you very much to our panel. Thank you to you. If you would mind now stepping down, that would be fantastic. But thank you for your time. So this is where we change panels and move on from the attractiveness to foreign investors and switch to the attractiveness of international partnerships. Over the next hour, we're going to be focusing on the work carried out to improve the economy and society, improving the daily lives of the population. A lot of international partners are involved, and we are going to be looking at what the future looks like with the biggest population in Central Asia. So let's join now our new panel. If I could ask them to step up here. First of all, Nodirbek Husanov, First Deputy Director of the Office for Management of State Assets of Uzbekistan, to take a seat here. We will, yeah, okay. Maybe I'll move down as we, yeah. Okay. So, maybe if Nodirbek takes a seat at the very end over there, that would be very good. Thank you very much indeed. Also joining us up here is Manfred Heinrich Hutterer, the German ambassador to Uzbekistan. If I could ask him to step up. Very good seat. And Temur Kamilov, the Deputy Minister, the Ministry of School and Preschool Education, to take a seat. Also, Joao Fantao, the Deputy Director General of the China International Cooperation Agency. And Aaron Russell has just joined us from the Global Green Growth Institute's country representative here in Uzbekistan. And finally, Farhad Tashpolatov, the Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Health. Thank you. Thank you.
I must say some information. Which has not been changed.
Yes, okay.
But first one, Farhad Tashpolatov will speak instead of him, not the Uzbekistan will speak.
Okay, so Farhad is not speaking here.
Firstly, he will speak first. Instead of him, not the Uzbekistan will speak.
Yes, so Nodirbek is speaking.
Yes?
Yeah. But Farhad is not speaking?
No. Firstly, Farhad will speak.
Yeah.
Firstly. After him, not the Uzbekistan will speak.
No, first speaker is Joao Fantao, because he has to leave. So he's the first speaker.
He's the first speaker?
Yeah, because he has to leave. Yeah. And then Farhad wants to speak, okay? And then Nodirbek.
In there, not the Uzbekistan.
Yes.
And firstly, okay, yes?
No, second will be Farhad. Okay, number two. Okay.
Şokrat yürü oraya mı? Sudan maçlar şey mi yürü oraya mı?
Oui, oui.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you to take your seats so that we can move swiftly on. So. Right, let us begin our second session. So we are changing panels. We're moving on from the attractiveness to foreign investors, switching to the attractiveness of international partnerships. If I could ask everyone to sit down, please, or move out the way, that will be fantastic. So, yeah. So let's look at the focus on the work being carried out to improve the economy and society, improving the daily lives of the population. A lot of international partners are involved. We're going to be looking at what that means, what the future looks like for the country with the biggest population in Central Asia. Joining us is our distinguished panel, and some of them have to leave, I'm afraid, fairly quickly, so we will ask them to speak first. And first of all, I'd like to ask Joao Fentao, the Deputy Director General of the China International Cooperation Agency, to speak about how he sees and how the agency sees cooperation with Uzbekistan.
Thank you, everyone. China and Uzbekistan are friendly neighbors with a common destiny. Over the past 30 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations, China has been committed to providing support for Uzbekistan economic and social development through bilateral cooperation channels. The cooperation between two sides in various fields has been continuously expanded, and the cooperation projects have achieved fruitful results. China's investment and financing in Uzbekistan was nearly $4.1 billion, and the bilateral trade volume exceeds $14 billion. China has become Uzbekistan's main investment partner and largest trading partner. China and Uzbekistan are good neighbors and good brothers. As the Chinese government centralized management department for foreign aid and international development cooperation, the China International Development Cooperation Agency is willing to continue to deepen its partnership with all parties and continue to provide support and assistance for Uzbekistan's economic and social development and improvement. In conjunction with the host questions and today's topic, I would like to share a few opinions from our new perspectives. First, we need to create new development opportunities. At present, China-Uzbekistan relations have been upgraded to a new era of all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership. The Belt and Road Initiative and the Global Development Initiative proposed by President Xi Jinping are highly consistent with the new Uzbekistan strategy. In July this year, the third plenary session of 20th CPC Central Committee was successfully held, which clearly stated that traditional industries should be transformed and upgraded. President Mirziyoyev spoke about the building common future of developing in industries yesterday. The China International Cooperation Agency, (SITCA), and Uzbek Ministry of Industry and Trade attach great importance to developing cooperation, strengthening cooperation in green development, climate change, and environment protection. Secondly, we need to create new highlights in cooperation. On the one hand, China-Uzbekistan cooperation in traditional fields needs to be upgraded. For example, the large-scale infrastructure construction, food production, and security mentioned by President Mirziyoyev yesterday are all traditional strengths of China. The two sides can continue to deepen cooperation at a higher level. On the other hand, cooperation in emerging fields should be actively explored. For example, lithium batteries and new energy vehicles are China's new three, which are also highly consistent with the green energy development plan that the president is concerned about. At present, China-Uzbekistan cooperation in this field is a good momentum. The photovoltaic project in Samarkand and the new energy vehicles produced in Jizak are officially on the market. China and Uzbekistan can actively cooperate in this regard. China is willing to increase its support for Uzbekistan development cooperation and drive more and better Chinese companies to invest. Third, we need to explore new paths for development. The combination of multilateral and bilateral cooperation, participation of multiple entities, investment, and multiple resources, talking in multiple directions, and interaction on multiple platforms are the mainstream of international development cooperation today. The funding structure of government funding, social financing, under the framework of the Global Development Initiative, the SITCA took the lead in establishing the Global Development Promotion Center, built a global development projects which brought together more than 1,000 projects in the database and implement and landed more than 500 projects. It establishing a $4 billion global development and South-South cooperation fund and cooperation with a financial institution such as Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank to raise $14 billion in special funds. We look forward to take the China-Uzbek intergovernment cooperation as a guide, calling on more Chinese and foreign companies, interaction organizations. And finally, we need to foster new momentum for development. Talent is the first resource for development. This is a valuable experience in China's rapid development and an important area of China's international development cooperation. Over the past 70 years, China has trained more than 400,000 talents in various fields for more than 180 countries. Under the framework of the Global Development Initiative, China has promised to provide 100,000 training places for developing countries, and 60,000 people have completed it. We also actively promote cooperation in vocational education and have opened Luban workshops in more than 20 countries, including Uzbekistan, to train high-level technical talents. Nearly 10,000 Uzbek people have participated in training programs organized by China government. China is willing to continue to increase investment, actively share development experience, management knowledge, and professional technology. Dear gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, there is an old Chinese saying that the road is long and difficult, but if you keep going, you will reach your destination. The road to development is full of opportunities and challenges. As long as we move forward together, we will have a promising future. China is willing to work with Uzbekistan. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Joao. And I think you have to go now, so we will let you go. Thank you very much indeed. Let us move on to Deputy Minister of Health, Farhad Tashpolatov, who I know also has to go to another meeting. Farhad.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, dear participants of the event, dear guests. I'm very glad that we are meeting with you today as a part of a panel session. Uzbekistan, a great country of great opportunities within the framework of the 9th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. As you know, the health of the nation is a strategic resource of the country. The foundation for the development of the national economy. It is for the reason that recently the President and the government of our republic have been paying special attention to the healthcare sector. Provision of high-quality medical services to the population aimed to protecting republic health, ensuring universal access to high-quality medical care, widespread adoption of the health lifestyle in society, strengthening the material and technical base of medical facilities is one of the most important areas of development the new Uzbekistan. In our country, number of legal acts have been adopted that regulated the sphere of public-private partnership. In particular, law of PPP, the resolution of President, and recently the resolution of the government of Republic of Uzbekistan. At the moment, our country is undergoing a major transformation of all directions. In ancient times, the territory of present day Uzbekistan was cradled of two great periods of Renaissance, the first and the second Renaissance. Thanks to the personal initiatives of our estimated His Excellency President of Republic, Mr. Shavkat Miromonovich, today's new Uzbekistan and third Renaissance find a response in our lives and inspire our people to great goals. In recent years, the healthcare system of Uzbekistan has been transformed based on completely new approaches. In 7-year strategy for the development of the healthcare system of Uzbekistan, entitled Health of the Population 2030, is currently being developed jointly with qualified experts from international organizations. The leader of the two fraternal states hold bilateral meetings as part of their visits to multilateral forums and constantly maintain bilateral dialogue by telephone conversation. Dear guests, at this point, I would like to ask you to pay attention to the screen demonstration, please. Thank you very much. For 5 minutes.
16,744 beds, 17,367 doctors, 26,489 mid-health workers are employed in the private sector. Nowadays, 159 private hospitals operate in the Republic with the participation of investments from 20 foreign countries. The number of private hospitals in Tashkent is 1,700, 750 in Andijan region, 650 in Samarkand, Kashkadarya and Tashkent regions. Private medical institutions provide 2,250 types of medical services in 200 specialties. The share of the private medical sector in general healthcare in the Republic reached 30%. There is also an increase in private medical organizations to an average of 600, 700 each year. The state considers the private sector as its partner. The number of private hospitals that provide medical services to socially vulnerable patients by public order has grown to 53. As of 2025, the private medical sector in Uzbekistan is estimated to cover the existing 50-60% patient size and load of the public health sector. A number of benefits were introduced to the private medical system. The validity of customs duty benefits for medical equipment was extended until January 1, 2025, and medical equipment imported by that time was exempt from value-added tax. Private medical organizations were exempted from circular taxation in the implementation of medical services, as well as land value tax. The collection of tourist hotel from treatment facilities was cancelled. In non-governmental medical organizations, clinical bases of medical higher education institutions were established, and the training and retraining of doctor-nurses was allowed. Graduating young professionals were allowed to work in private hospitals for 5 years without a qualification category. Due to customs privileges, the number of foreign investors who want to move their clinic to Uzbekistan or open a branch is growing. Today, the number of foreign medical institutions has grown to almost 160. On the basis of public-private partnership, 53 projects, agreements worth 656 billion sums were signed. The total value of the portfolio of large international projects formed in the Republic is $1.8 billion. List of international projects. In accordance with the Presidential Decree number 308 of 30 August 2024 on measures to develop public-private partnership in the Republic of Uzbekistan for 2024 to 2030, a number of projects in the field of medicine are planned. With the support of the International Finance Corporation, many projects are underway. Project to build radiotherapy centers in Khorezm, Samarkand and Fergana regions. Project to establish a multidisciplinary hospital with 800 beds in the Fergana region. Project to organize medical examination and diagnostic services in Jizakh, Namangan, Kashkadarya regions. Project to establish multidisciplinary hospitals in Bukhara and Andijan with the support of the Asian Development Bank. Our proposals. We are ready to give 5 centers across the Republic to trust management. In the coming days, the newly established Republican Specialized Scientific and Practical Medical Center of Oncology and Radiology, multidisciplinary clinic of Tashkent Medical Academy with 1,500 beds, Republican Specialized Scientific and Practical Medical Center of Cardiology designed for 250 beds. Republican Specialized Scientific and Practical Medical Center of Endocrinology, named after academician Turakulov, designed for 300 beds. Republican Thoracic Surgery Center, named after Wahidov, designed for 360 beds, will be given to the trust management. In addition, proposals are made on the terms of public-private partnership. Construction of the Republican Multidisciplinary Children's Medical Center with 250 bed capacity in the Republic of Karakalpakstan, Oralboye. Establishment of a multidisciplinary clinic for 350 beds in Textile Hospital of Tashkent City. Organizations within the structure of the Ministry of Health of Uzbekistan are ready to actively cooperate on outsourcing. They operate. You can also invest and get a place in the ranks of foreign investors in our country. We urge all foreign clinics to establish their own medical business in Uzbekistan.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much. I think you have to leave as well for another meeting, but thank you very much for joining us. Let's move on now to the German ambassador to Uzbekistan, Manfred Heinrich Hutra. Manfred, we've just had a visit from the German Chancellor, and the relationship is clearly growing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, distinguished guests. It's really a great honor to address you as a family of the AIIB. Only 10 days ago, German Chancellor Scholz visited Samarkand. And by the way, all the important meetings with President Mirziyoyev took place exactly in this building. The Chancellor's visit was a clear sign that Uzbekistan and the Central Asian region at large become more and more important for Germany and the European Union. I think that the visit gave German-Uzbek relations a new political, economic and strategic depth. The Chancellor was accompanied by 14 CEOs of major German companies, and during the visit, 6 governmental agreements and 12 business agreements were signed. Among them was the signing of an agreement of migration of skilled labor, which is very important for both of our economies. Several speakers referred to the fact that we have a very young population in Uzbekistan. As this panel is about resource mobilization, I would like to highlight that since 1992, actually since Uzbek independence, Germany has been a steadfast development partner for Uzbekistan. Our cooperation has intensified in recent years as Uzbekistan pursues an ambitious reform agenda under the leadership of President Mirziyoyev. And by the way, we not only look at domestic reforms, we also look at Uzbekistan's achievements in its efforts to enhance regional cooperation among its neighbors. And I think President Mirziyoyev is really a champion of regional cooperation. In practice, Uzbek-German economic relations are mainly dominated by 2 pillars. First pillar, trade and investment. Second pillar, development cooperation. And both pillars mobilize resources for the Uzbek economy. Germany's development assistance to Uzbekistan operates within the framework of bilateral agreements as well as regional cooperation programs of the European Union. Between 2019 and 2022, Germany contributed approximately 260 million in development assistance to Uzbekistan, with a focus on fostering sustainable economic development, improving governance, enhancing education, and advancing renewable energy initiatives. Financial cooperation via KfW, that's the German governmental bank. Financial cooperation via KfW alone has increased tenfold in the last 5 years. Financial cooperation today amounts to 800 million. The Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development has been the lead institution responsible for implementing these initiatives, working in close partnership with the Uzbek government. In 2024, KfW Development Bank committed, on top of the bilateral financial and technical development cooperation, 300 million euro policy-based loan to support the reform process in Uzbekistan, especially in the field of social protection. This unprecedented commitment reflects Germany's recognition of Uzbekistan's modernization efforts and underscores our shared vision for the country's future. As part of this enhanced partnership, our cooperation now encompasses 4 core areas: peace and social cohesion, with a focus on good governance; sustainable economic development, training and employment; climate and energy, concentrating on sustainable urban development; health, social protection, and population policy, with particular attention to health systems. Looking now ahead to the 2024 government negotiations, the German government plans to commit an additional 173 million for development cooperation, further reinforcing our support for Uzbekistan's reform and development trajectory. In addition, during the high-level meeting I just referred to between the Uzbek President Mirziyoyev and the German Chancellor Scholz, an MOU was signed by KfW for a further policy-based loan in the amount of 800 million for the years 2025 to 2027. Germany remains committed to assisting Uzbekistan in mobilizing the resources needed to sustain these efforts. We are focused on several key areas: capacity building. Germany is working to strengthen Uzbekistan's institutional capacities, access to international climate finance by supporting Uzbekistan in meeting the criteria of international financing mechanisms, such as the Green Climate Fund; institutional and policy support. Germany assists Uzbekistan in creating a policy environment conducive to resource mobilization; joint development of climate projects. Our collaboration also includes identifying key areas for adaptation and mitigation, and helping Uzbekistan prepare project proposals that align with national and international climate priorities. In conclusion, I would like to stress that our financial commitments, together with the co-financed projects, underscore Germany's unwavering dedication to supporting Uzbekistan's transition towards sustainable growth and a more prosperous future. We also would like to support Uzbekistan's role as a center of gravity, a center of stability in Central Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador. Let's turn now to Nodebek Husanov, First Deputy Director of the Office for Management of State Assets of Uzbekistan. Nodebek, there is a lot going on in this sector with a lot of movement expected in the coming years on some state assets.
Good afternoon, dear participants of this panel session, distinguished guests, dear ladies and gentlemen. With your permission, I would like to make my presentation in Russian. Уважаемые участники данного мероприятия, дамы и господа.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank you for the provided opportunity to shortly present the activity of the Asset Agency of the Republic of Uzbekistan and the reforms being conducted on development of the entrepreneurship and involvement of the private sector. Our agency is the executive body authorized for conducting control of the assets, privatization of SOEs, and assessment of the bankruptcy rate and other things. We have conducted the number of reforms to ensure the investment climate and secure the property of foreign investors. Uzbekistan, due to the geographical location and rich natural resources, qualified labor force is one of the dynamically developed country in Central Asia, which was highlighted by the previous speakers, taking into account the globalization of the economy and the effectiveness of the conducted reforms in our country, which directly impact the process of privatization and the state assets management. If we talk about legislative basis, first of all, the property rights are being ensured by the Constitution, and the legislative base has been enriched and secured. In 2023, we have adopted the law on the state assets management based on the best practices of the corporate management, recommendation of the international financial institutions and the international organizations of government property. And regarding the ensuring the property and rights of the foreign investors, the number of preferences and benefits were reconsidered in our country. There's more than 2,000 enterprises participating in these reforms, and in the consideration of the WTO accession and with the consideration of the priorities of the strategy up to 2030, we are planning to decrease number of SOEs 6 times, and in the close cooperation with the international financial institutions and consulting companies, we have developed and adopted in February this year the new law on privatization of the state assets, which was based on the previous law of 1991, and this was done to ensure the transparency, equality, and competitiveness, elimination of the corruptions, which are the main principles of the privatization. The law defines the auction, trade procedures, and repatriation of the foreign currency, which is guaranteed by the law and Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Accepting and adoption of these fundamental regulatory documents are improving the investment climate in Uzbekistan. And if we compare for the last decade, starting from 2010 and 2019, the assets sold for this year is 100 million, and for 2021-2023 is 2.4 billion US dollars. It's 10 times much more higher compared for the previous period, and we have sold more than the assets for more than 20 trillion, 20,000 billion US dollars, and this also provide the impetus for the attracting the foreign investors into this process. In particular, the foreign investors bought 26 large enterprises for 1.3 trillion US dollars, and one of the successful projects is the privatization of the state-owned banks, Ipoteka Bank, Uzagra Bank, and another small bank, which is Poytacht Bank. Coca-Cola Company privatization, the oil and gas processing industry, Innovain, Fergana Azot, cement production, tail production in Tashkent region, glass production plant, and so on. This allowed to improve the capitalization and the cost of the assets, activated the process of the transformation, and improved the operational economical activity, contributed to the introduction of the modern methods of the corporate management. In the beginning of this year, we understood that the privatization will contribute the further of improvement of the activities of this enterprise. In the beginning of this year, we had the presidential decree on the new program of privatization for 2024, which includes privatization of about 250 equities of different and shares of different organizations, and the public trade, share trade as IPO, SPO is being done, as well as in other international exchange trades. And afternoon, we will have presentation on the public trade, exchange trade, based on the principle like one share per year, per capita, which will contribute to development of the wide class of the shareholders amongst the all groups of population. For this, currently we are attracting the shares of such big enterprises which are very attractive, such as raw materials exchange rate, Al Malik mining plant, Uzbek Telecom, Uzbekistan Railways. Besides this, I would like to mention the following things, understanding that this session is dedicated to the mobilization of the resources. I would like to mention that for the potential resources, in order to make those enterprises attractive for both local and foreign investors participating in the process of privatization, we have developed a number of incentives and opportunities, such as for the state assets which were in auction but wasn't sold during 3 months. We have the mechanism of phased decrease of the cost, the price of this enterprise, step by step. And we have payback period for the partially payment of the cost. And of course, the another option is to pay in a foreign currency, which was introduced recently. The participation in the auction, or through the electronic auction or through the trade exchange, can be done remotely 24/7. The investor buys these assets, can buy, can sell within this exchange rate despite the location, and of course pay for these assets with the first investment, which is 30% of the prepayment for the entire cost. It can be secured by the credit lines by commercial banks. For the whole like for the entire payment, we are providing the discount equal to the refinancing interest rate by bank if the investor is ready to pay within 1 month. So we are providing discount 13% interest rate, which is in refinancing interest rate of banks. So currently in our platforms, we are selling more than 1,000 state assets in different fields: finance, chemical industry, oil and gas, transportation, energy, tourism, construction materials, automobile construction, insurance agencies, and so on. Here you can see the list of those assets on the slide of my presentation, and I would like to mention that this kind of activities are serving as a good platform to accelerate privatization process in Uzbekistan and catalyzing the further interest and participation and attracting of the foreign investors in this process. By conclusion, I would like to thank you for the provided opportunities to shortly
provide glance on the measures being conducted in our country. And taking this opportunity, I would like to call for your proactive participation in the process of privatization of our country. Thank you very much.
And let's stay with what the government is doing and hear from Timur Kamilov, the Deputy Minister at the Ministry of School and Preschool Education.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, esteemed guests, dear participants. I stand before you today to address a matter of paramount importance, the urgent need for infrastructure resource mobilization for public education sector in Uzbekistan. As we strive to realize our ambitious education agenda, we must confront that reality that the education is inextricably linked with the physical learning spaces with schools. And we all aware that Sustainable Development Goals, which are defined by UN, United Nations, and scope the development agenda of all countries, require to build and upgrade education facilities that are child, disability, and gender sensitive, and provide safe, non-violent, inclusive and effective learning environments for all. Furthermore, the World Bank 2019 study suggests that students in enhanced schools, they have better results, better outcomes. All these factors urge us to build a holistic and multifaceted approach to create new education buildings and new education environment. We have to confess that in the meantime, Uzbekistan faces a pressing challenge because our rapidly growing population, especially student population, is indeed straining our existing schools. To put this into perspective, by 2026, we need to create over 1.2 million student places and over 600,000 preschool places. That means that even meantime, this academic year alone, we are already lacking 1 million student places in our public schools. Data from records paints a real picture that 73% of preschools, only 73% of preschools, they have access to centralized source of drinking water, and 25% of them are connected to central sewage system. Similarly, in general secondary schools, only 55% have access to clean drinking water through central pipes. And we have to admit that 70% of public schools, they are equipped with modern PC equipment, which are mostly done since 2018, which means that last 6 years the government started allocated a great amount of expenditures, and 70% of schools, they have modern PC equipment. I would like to draw your attention that in order to coordinate the resource mobilization into public education, the National Partnership Compact, a critical vehicle for Uzbekistan's drive to reform education in Uzbekistan and ensure equitable access to quality education, has been signed last year. This document defines measurable priorities with results and targets by 2026 for both preschool and school education system. This document was endorsed by 54 development partners. 28 of them are international organizations. To sustain the development and in order to address the challenge in timely manner now and to prevent them from happening in future, we believe that we should focus on the following. First, we must strengthen our commitment to allocating a greater portion of national budget to education. In 2023, I have to highlight that education spending reached 5.9, almost 6% out of GDP, which we really viewed as a great starting point last 10-15 years. And our projections shows that after 2-3 years, we definitely need even more budget allocations, even more money in capital expenditure in order to meet the demand of our growing student population. And our country's commitment to Incheon Declaration as one of its signatories is an indicator that government will definitely maintain strong financial contribution to education sector, fulfilling its role as a main actor of resource mobilization for education. Second, we actively seeking alternative, innovative financing mechanisms. So, as a solution, we are looking for leveraging the PPP mechanisms in order to expand and create even more preschool and school spaces in our country. Third, we must leverage the support of our international partners. And taking this opportunity, I would like to express my gratitude to the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank for the preparing project worth 500 million USD that focus on addressing one of key issues, school overcrowding. We really believe that we'll together prepare this project, we will implement it, and this project will involve the construction of new school buildings and create new school places in our country. Additionally, I'd like to mention with gratitude to gratitude our such partners as Islamic Development Bank, the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, GPE, and other UN organizations, which are also key partners in this great process of resource mobilization in public education. We definitely believe that their expertise, their technical and financial assistance would be indeed instrumental in our ambitious education reform. We all know that investing in education is not merely about bricks and mortar. It is investment to future of nation. So we hope, I would say more, we won't be confident that by working together with the shared vision and unwavering commitment, we can overcome these challenges and build a greater future for our children, for our students in Uzbekistan. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Minister. Deputy Minister. Let's have, and finally, and by no means least, Aaron Russell. This is a country, Aaron, which has a huge desire to pursue a green agenda, is doing a lot on renewables and other areas. I wonder how you see it from the Global Green Growth Institute's point of view.
Thank you very much. I'll take a tack. Specifically, I'll focus a little bit more on the agricultural sector. GGI works across a range of industrial sectors in different countries, but one area that we've worked in particular detail and extensive amount in Uzbekistan is on climate-smart agriculture. And I would like to start off that I'd like to couch this. This is not really about what an individual development assistance organization can do or development partner can do, but it is how we can all contribute to supporting the government and private sector investment promotion in Uzbekistan. And so I'll happily share the credit for anything I say with all other development partners. It starts off with strong normative leadership. We noted in particular the very strong statements by His Excellency President Shavkat Mirziyoyev in the opening remarks here, where he highlighted the importance of dealing with scarcity of food and energy resources and poverty and environmental problems. He's also raised this at the UN General Assembly and in the UNFCCC COP. So he's placing very strong national leadership in these issues at the front and center. And that communicates volumes beyond what many other governments would say simply by producing policy documents. Then this has been, the green economy transition has been particularly led by the Ministry of Economy and Finance initially through the Green Economy Transition Strategy. And this was then incorporated across the whole of the economy in the new Uzbekistan Strategy 2030. So we see a very strong cross-sectoral, government-wide commitment to promoting a green economy transition. So this is a pleasure to work in a country where you don't have to convince policymakers that it's important. So now, tacking a bit more specifically to agriculture. And I think the remarks of the AIIB president highlighted the importance for recognizing agriculture investment not only as a source of financial returns, but also as a source of social impact and rural development, as well as the general export markets. So Uzbekistan has set very specific targets for 2026. For increasing the amount of investment in agriculture, in increasing water use efficiency technology usage, in doubling the incomes of farmers, and in promoting the use of good agriculture practices by farmers. So they've set very specific targets for the sector, to which we can then measure objectives and have very clear direction about what we as development partners can prioritize our support for. Much of this work that we are doing here in Uzbekistan is funded through a $5.6 million grant by the Korean government, by KOICA, that is specifically for climate-smart agriculture. In part of this work, we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Investment, Infrastructure and Trade to identify a pipeline of agriculture investment projects that could be prioritized for climate-smart and climate-resilient agriculture. The overarching target for 2026 was to stimulate an investment of up almost $1 billion. I think the government, the pipeline of projects that we have is well above that. And so I think there's a very healthy demand for developing projects, in particular for, we estimate, roughly 40% focused more on agricultural crop production, but at least 25% on the food sector and agro-industrial sectors, and then other sectors as well. But I think that latter is, of particular value for promoting export markets and value addition through Uzbekistan's abundant agricultural production. I'd like to split my remaining remarks to reflect on how development partners and IFIs can enhance investment in climate-smart agriculture by MSMEs versus for international equity investments, because they're slightly different in their objectives and in terms of their impacts. It does have to always start with developing a rigorous evidence base. And this is, the chairman of the AIIB highlighted from the outset, and many speakers have said, one of the biggest challenges that we have is insufficient information to demonstrate that projects are bankable and that they will achieve the objectives intended. So in GGI, we have developed our 3 returns analytical framework that assesses the returns on investment in terms of financial, certainly, but also social and environmental capital returns. And that's critical for going beyond the limited framework that risks neglecting social impacts and environmental capital outcomes. So and this is, I think, a key thing that we're not unique in this. The World Bank, FAO, many UN agencies, GIZ, conduct assessments that try to demonstrate the multi-sectoral impacts of agricultural innovation and adoption. And we think that, but this is a critical element to take us beyond just the limited short-term economic calculus used by investors otherwise. In terms of specific support for MSMEs, many of the targets of the government are to transform agricultural practices from the irrigation systems that previously were quite wasteful, from the agricultural harvesting, from the varieties that maybe didn't have the amount of efficiency that one might like. So there is a need for development partners and IFIs to provide concessional financing for awareness-raising campaigns, to correct perceptions that may lead MSMEs to reject such adoption, and provide tangible technical training and demonstration of these farming practices. We've done over 17,000 awareness-raising activities, or we've targeted 17,000 people with awareness-raising activities targeting youth, women and men and disadvantaged people. We've done almost 1,000 trainings of farmers on climate-smart agriculture. We have a social media campaign that's reached over 150 million views for these technologies. We need this approach to change awareness and perceptions before people can adopt models. And then we have implemented 5 different climate-smart agriculture demonstration farms through different types of PPPs, different types of partnerships, to demonstrate that it is technically feasible, that it will have the economic returns intended. And then but this cannot all be done person by person. The growing access to digital platforms and digital literacy in country is a key opportunity that remains to be fully exploited. We've developed a digital platform to disseminate information, access to finance, to technology, to market prices, and we hope to work with partners to scale up such initiatives. But then there's additional support that is needed for designing appropriate finance facilities with the financial institutions, because particularly for smallholder farmers, women's groups, they are largely underserved by traditional lending models. So we're working closely with a number of financial institutions in Uzbekistan to enhance capitalization of targeted funds for promotion of green economy transition and climate-smart agriculture, and specifically for climate-smart farming. Yeah. I'll just note that we recently, 2 months ago, we supported the SQB Bank in issuing a sustainability bond that mobilized over $500 million to support sustainability actions. In terms of promoting equity investment, the conclusion of the previous one, there's a clear role for development partners to work with government partners and with IFIs to demonstrate the bankability of these smallholder-focused solutions, and that's not surprising. But I would say that to a certain degree, the same holds true with regard to equity investment in agriculture production and agro-industrial value chain, green logistics hubs that are the center of the vision of developing a connectivity across Central Asia and to export markets. There are a number of IFIs and GGI also has a trust fund that from which we can do feasibility studies to support the effective design with sufficient data and risk mitigation strategies to enable investments to take place. So this is something that is more mainstream among IFI partners, so I don't need to describe that in detail, but we'd be happy to partner with a range of IFIs in implementing these, and we are currently working on several such agro-industrial and agricultural investment project support in Uzbekistan. Looking forward, I would just summarize in terms of, on behalf of GGI, we have a track record of supporting the mobilization of over $11 billion globally. Our current membership includes most of the AIIB membership countries, not all. And we have over 49 member countries. Central Asia, we're very well represented, and we are eager to partner with the partners to scale up climate-smart agriculture as well as other areas of the green economy transition. For Uzbekistan specifically, we're currently finalizing a 5-year country planning framework in which we set ourselves a target of mobilizing $1 billion of green investment, from which we aim to support the carbon dioxide equivalent reduction of 15 metric tons and the development of over 18,000 green jobs. So we are eager to share experiences with partners across Central Asia, certainly, particularly based on what we have done here on climate-smart agriculture, what we've done extensively in Mongolia on energy efficiency in buildings and ESCOs, but also with other AIIB member countries around the world. And I would just also like to mention, as the Belt and Road Initiative has been specifically highlighted a number of times, GGI has also signed several agreements to support identification of projects that could be greened for the under the Belt and Road Initiative. So I'll be happy to discuss this as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Aaron, and it's a crucial part of the future economy, absolutely clear, but the dedication here is impressive. Thank you very much to our panel for taking part in this part of the program, and a big thank you as well to you, the audience. I wish you all a good day. Thank you.